Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing out the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi y'all, welcome back to the show. Today we have one of my new favorite people on, Emily Billings. I love this woman, okay? We actually met recording this podcast and we just went to London together, which you guys will hear us talk about on the episode. I vlogged the entire London trip. Everything's up on Instagram, TikTok, all the things. So if you guys want to see how our London trip went, go check that out. I'm pre-recording this, so I don't even know how it went. I'm assuming really fabulous and amazing and perfect, but I love her. She's the sweetest girl ever. And this, honestly, she ends up interviewing me in this podcast episode. It was very conversational. We go very back and forth. We're talking about so much from her 9 to 5, grief, losing her dad, losing my brother, dating. I mean, we really go all over the place. She's just the best. And honestly, she should be a podcast host because she basically hosted this podcast. She's just so sweet and kind and selfless. And you guys will really see this in today's episode. So without further ado, let's welcome Emily on to the show. Guys, I am here with my new bestie, Emily. We actually just met.
For the first time.
But a couple days ago, we fully booked a trip to London.
I can't believe this is happening. I haven't even met the other girl, Macy. But I feel like we're best friends. Like, we're already sisters.
Macy is the best person in the entire world. There's no one funnier. There's no one cooler. There's no one more fun to be around. Like, you will be so obsessed with her.
She seems like the best friend.
She is.
She's just so... I was watching one of your podcasts, and she seems like... You were saying, I have the funniest friends. Mm-hmm. And every single person that I watch that's on your podcast, it's like one of your close friends.
Yeah.
Like, they seem so funny and just best people to be around.
It really started off because I laugh at everything, I think.
Okay.
But funny people love to be laughed at, so they just stick around longer. You know? Like, even I've had so many friends who are like, I just hang out with you because I feel so funny. And I'm like, I don't have the heart to tell them that I laugh at everything. But like, I feel like the cream rises, and then those are the people that like are like my best friends.
No,
Something about
so
funny,
true.
someone funny.
Do you like not morph your personality, but like when you're around certain people, does your personality shift a little bit to be...
I feel like humor sometimes more like they'll pull out different like I have different humor with different friends for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the same, but different sides of my humor will come out. What about you?
I'm the same. Like certain friends that I'm around, I will be so giggly around and I like have a certain kind of humor, but then other friends I'm more not same personality, but just definitely more mellow or different kinds of jokes.
Do you ever feel like you just lost your funny?
All the time. But
That's
it's
how
not
I feel
me,
right
it's
now.
them.
You know, I feel like it's me. I'll text Macy and like we say this all the time. I'm like, I haven't been funny in 3 weeks. Like, I don't know what has happened. Like, I was really on a roll. I was really extra funny a couple months ago, and I have nothing to give.
What changed?
I don't
what was
know.
The moment?
There's never really a rhyme or a reason. It's just like I wake up one day and I'm funny, and the next day I wake up and I'm not. And that's just kind of how it goes.
Is it maybe like a work thing? I feel like sometimes when I'm in serious work mode, it's hard for me to get into like fun friend life mode.
No, I think it's just a sickness, a disease.
Okay, it happens.
You know?
It'll go away. It comes in waves.
Yeah. So back to our London trip. Actually, by the time this episode goes up, because I'm batching this week in New York City, we will have already done this trip. At this point, I think it's yeah. So, we're here to tell you guys we had a great time in London. Actually,
it was the best experience of my life.
Yes, I just wanted to start off with, before we get into all of like, you know, your 20s, can't do it all, life is exhausting. I wanted to start off by, I think, who better than us to talk about getting the girls trip out of the group chat. We literally hadn't met until about 5 seconds ago, and we're going to London.
You just have to do it. You just have to, someone has to say full send it. Also, there are some people, like I feel like you have to sense if there are certain friends that are down to do it. Mm-hmm. And once you find those people, you just got to go with them. And I think that's what makes this so exciting. And like we were able to figure it out so quick because Danielle literally posted, I think she did like a question box and she said she wanted to go to the Eras tour. And she was like, does anyone want to go with me? I responded, I was like, me. And I was already thinking about it. And she was like, wait, really? And I was like, actually. Like you just have to find those people who are down to do it.
And then backstory on how I got involved. Danny and I were recording this week and we were talking about trips that we wanted to do. And she brought up London for Eras tour and I was like, oh, I'll go. And then she told me about you. And then I was like, wait, Macy. And then it just all like it all happened. So it's like you have to find the girls that are down. And then I think if you don't book immediately or within like a week,
Yeah.
that's risky. But also I will say, like, I've done a bunch of trips where it's super last minute and the whole time we were committed to going and we just booked last minute. But then you just have to make sure you have like really down friends. So if your group chats, no, if your trips are not leaving the group chats, maybe you just need to find new friends.
Yeah.
I'm here
just
to tell you.
meet new people, like social media. I mean, that's how we all how did you meet Macy, by the way?
So Macy had followed me for a while, and then she was interning at my management company, and then I didn't know any of this at this point. I happened to find her on TikTok, and I was like, this is the funniest girl that's ever existed. So I followed her on TikTok, and then she messaged me, but she like DM'd me, but she's like, we have this whole story about how she like unsent all the messages or whatever. But like anytime I introduced her to her friend, like Danielle, Brooke, any of them, she's like, okay, I have to unsend some DMs. We're like, like before they like follow me or whatever. But we're just, I mean, it just was amazing. But really through TikTok, obviously there's like more to the story, but like technically we met on TikTok.
Social media.
Yeah.
Social media. Okay, what would you say, and do you have an audience of girls who come to you, like if they're not creators, they're on social media, but they're not creators, how do you meet people? Like, is it weird to slide into someone's DMs?
I was just talking about this on the podcast that I recorded before this. I am the biggest proponent to sliding into someone's DMs. I mean, I would never slide into a man's DMs, but like
never.
into like a girl, literally never. But I think anyone should. Like, you can still make friends. I've also made a lot of friends on Instagram through DMs that were not creators. So I feel like I'm still a part of that conversation.
That's fair. Same. I feel like girls will reach out. I just didn't know like if neither one of the girls did social media or had some kind of platform. If they were private, is it weird? Or I know everyone, I feel like the basic answer is just in person, like workout classes and everything, but like workout classes, you're doing your thing and you're leaving because you have to go to work or something. So social media, I feel like, is a very easy way to just slide in without the pressure.
I've also heard people say to go to the same places every day at the same time, because slowly you'll build some sort of community there. But I'm the same way. Like, I'll tell people, like, go to workout classes, talk to them there. I just don't shut up. So, like, I can make a friend anywhere I go. But at my workout class, like, that's my hour for me. I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, the people who work the front desk where I work out probably think I am, like, the least outgoing person that's ever existed. But that's because it's, like, my hour of alone time.
Yeah. Do you do it in the mornings or at
morning? What about
you? Early morning or?
I mean, it depends. I'll go through phases.
Okay. Early morning, I don't want to talk to anyone. That's why I asked. Because if it's before work, I mean, my work day starts at 9. Like, I have to be on my laptop at 9. But if it's like a 7 a.m. class, that means I'm waking up at like 6:15, 6:30. So I'm mute. I'm probably not having a conversation. I have to get home quickly to get ready. But if it's after work, I feel like it'd be different. And I would be more conversational to people.
Totally.
Yeah.
Have you made a lot of friends through work?
No, I haven't. And, you know, I was just talking to that about someone on my project. So with consulting, it's very weird. I didn't know this when I first started, but the team that you're on is totally dependent on your client. So you're like in with these if you're in a big corporation, of course it's different company to company, but if you're in a big corporation for consulting, then if you have a certain client, it's just people of different ages. Like, there's someone that's 45 on my project, someone that's 30, and there's someone that's 25, but there's only 2 other 25 or 26-year-olds, and we have completely different skill sets, completely different backgrounds, and we're co-workers, but not like outside of work friends. But I think that's a remote thing, because I think I'm not in person, so it's harder to make those connections, which stinks.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it is a virtual thing, because think about in high school when you have your school friends. And I don't know about you, but I would always have like friends in certain classes that we really had nothing in common, and we wouldn't have ever been friends had we not been next to each other every day. I feel like that's equivalent to coworkers, because I had people, like, we had literally nothing in common, but I loved them so much and we talked all the time, and like I wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
But I feel like that, obviously the adult version would be coworkers. If you were in person, I feel like you would.
Yeah. Also, the conversations virtual are just never, like, they're not the same. You're not going to stay on a call for longer than you need to make side conversation, versus in person, you're forced to make small talk, and it's just so much more natural, you know?
Totally.
So then you get into those, like, oh, what are you doing after work? What are your hobbies? And then you find something in common and you click, and then, oh, we should grab drinks sometime, or we should go, if you're into boxing, we should go to a boxing class. And I feel like taking it outside of work, and then you're able to continue that relationship.
If you're working virtually, like, how are you supposed to have a workplace crush?
I did have a workplace crush.
Oh, fun.
A virtual crush.
Love that.
But it's not common. Like,
it's rare.
I wish I had a crush.
You almost have to, like, really hold on to it. Having a crush is the best feeling in the world.
It really is. It gets you motivated to do things.
It gives me an extra pep in my step. Like, I say that all the time. I'm like, I wake up a little bit quicker. I'm a little bit happier because I'm, like, waiting to, like, read a text. Like,
extra giggly. I feel like everyone has to have at least one person that they're, like, excited about, or they're thinking about, or checking your story to see if they viewed it, kind of thing. If you have a crush, do you check to see if they watched your story?
1000%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's how I know I have a crush, actually, because I will lie to myself, and, like, everyone around me will know, but I won't. And then I'll notice, like, when do you add your crushes to, like, your close friends list?
No.
How do you see that they're watching your story then? They'll come up at the top.
Yeah.
See, my close friends list is basically just like a private Instagram. It's not like, it's nothing crazy. So I could add anyone to it and it wouldn't be a big deal. But sometimes I'm just adding because I want to see if they're watching.
Wait, that's so smart. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I wish you could have multiple groups of, like, close friends.
I couldn't agree.
Stories.
I need a group for crushes.
Yeah.
I need a group for the girls. I need a group for the people that I want to, like, go out with that weekend. I need a group for everything.
Oh, me too. Okay, wait. What if you end things with someone? Are you blocking them? Are you removing them? What are you doing? Say you, like, you miss them and you find yourself checking to see if they watched your story.
So when things end between me and someone else, like, they're done. I'm not someone who I've, like, never texted an ex in my life. I mean, maybe when I was 17. I just I'm way too prideful. Like, I am not. The day I text an ex, it's like, that might be my husband. Like, I won't do that. Like, what are you doing?
I'm the same. Wait, I don't know. What's your, like, relationship history?
Single.
But history.
Oh, I was, like, a big relationship girl up until I was, like, 23, 24, and then I've been single the past couple of years.
Okay.
But, like, very single, like, and loving being single, but only recently have I switched to, like, I'm gonna fall in love and find love very soon. You know what we should find? London crushes. That would make our week so much fun. I actually do know, like, 3 separate groups of people in my life that will be there that week.
Oh.
So that'll be a good, like, jumping place.
Oh my God, I can't wait. We should definitely find crushes.
Yeah, we need to find crushes.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
Maybe, like, switch the Hinge or something. The Hinge? Am I 80? Like, maybe switch the Hinge.
I have never done a dating app. Ever.
You know what? As soon as I said that, I kind of felt that about you. By the way, I don't know if I qualify as doing it because I've never gone on, like, a date from a dating app.
Okay.
But I'm on them. But I go, like, once a month. You'd be such a hit.
A date? Or, like, once a month a Hinge date?
No. I go on Hinge once a month. Like, period.
Are you swiping, like, mostly left?
I would say I swipe about 99.9% left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the ones you do swipe right on, are you matching with them?
Yeah, and then I just don't ever reply.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I would reply. I'd be like, why are you on a dating app? But then I would be on a dating app.
Totally. I'd be like, this is so weird.
Why are you doing that?
I feel like if both of us had this mentality, like, my dream is to be set up through, like, mutual friends.
Same.
So I think that's what's going to have to happen.
Because, you know what? So I recently, like, a few months ago, I went on a date with this guy, and he is the sweetest. See, I feel like anyone who would watch this would know who it was about, but he was the sweetest guy, and it was through a mutual friend, and it was perfect. But then I don't know, I chicken out. I get scared because I haven't been ready for a full-on relationship. Like you just said, you've been good single. That's how I've been. But lately I've had this, like, itch where I'm like...
How old are you?
25.
Okay. Sorry, continue. I have something to say after this.
Okay. But I was the same. Like, I got out of, I think it was a 2.5, like, on and off year relationship with my ex, and then we stopped. I think I was 23. So it's been a year and a half since I've been single, and it's been great. I have not had any interest. I've been on dates just for fun, but, like, it wasn't anything serious where I was like, oh, I'm really, like, I didn't care, which was good. It was good because that makes good practice, right? Because you're not banking on it, and you don't get just, like, super invested or anything. But lately I've been like, oh, that would be really fun. That would be cute to have someone, like, love me or something.
This is what happened to me, and I have just been talking to a ton of friends who are, like, who are 27. I'm about to turn 27 in August. And there was, just in the past couple of months, I went from, for years, I almost thought there was something wrong with me at points because I didn't want to be with someone that bad. Like, I was so just, like, happy on my own. I couldn't even, the idea of someone coming into my space, into my house, like, it just didn't sit well with me. But now it's like I just woke up one day and all of a sudden
this wave came over you.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, no, I want to find love. I've talked about it literally all week on the podcast. Like, hopefully by the time these episodes go up, by the way, I have love. That's the goal.
Wait, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
You've been to London. You have a boyfriend.
Yes,
that's great.
Yeah, I want a boyfriend in London.
We should manifest. You know how like when you practice manifestation, you say things that you currently have, like in the future. Okay, so you go.
We have crushes / well, I guess we need to be specific. Do we want crushes or boyfriends in London?
I feel like you should have a boyfriend.
Okay, I want a boyfriend in London.
Okay, I want a crush that I may never see again in London, and then when I come back, maybe there's a man waiting for me.
Obsessed.
So maybe I met someone before I went to London, and then when I came back from London, we were ready for a relationship. But then I had a crush in London.
And your crush in London was fun. It was a fling, but it actually made you like your soon-to-be boyfriend in New York better because you realized he was better for you. And the crush was just nothing.
Exactly. And he wanted the guy at home. He wanted me more. And so I was like, oh, I don't know if I want this. I don't know if I'm ready. And then the crush, you're right. That made me realize like, okay, maybe he's the one for me, the one at home.
This is beautiful.
I'm so excited.
I love the direction that we're going.
Me too.
I'm so excited about this trip.
Oh, it's going to be so fun.
It really is going to be so fun. I want to talk about being in your 20s. You are doing it all. The 9 to 5, the friends, the dating, the boyfriend that you're coming back to in August in New York, social media, you're a content creator, you're going to the events, you're going to the brand trips. Like, it is a lot.
It's so much.
We were kind of talking off air in the 5 seconds that we had met before we started recording this podcast.
Just a little.
And you were just saying it's really hard you just can't do it all. It's impossible. So let's talk about that because I feel like all the girlies listening are really going to relate in their own way.
Yeah. Okay. I used to think that, I think I went in phases. My first thought that was balance, it exists, you can find it. When I first started my corporate career, I was like, I can do this. Because it was a few months before when I started doing content creation, and then I started my full-time. I was like, I got this. I can do this whole balance thing. A few months after it started, I realized, oh my God, balance does not exist. You cannot do balancing. There's no balancing act because there's too much to do. You're not going to be able to give everything you have to everything in your life and in every area, right? There's family, there's friendships, there's just relationships and dating, and then there's family and your mental health. Like, there's just too many buckets to really manage all at once. And lately, it's like you have to learn how to prioritize and figure out, okay, what's most important to me right now? I think that there can be balance that exists, but with the prioritization and actually learning what is most important to you at that time period in your life. So, like, for example, and I've talked about this so many times on my platforms, but morning walks or getting movement in the morning, getting sunlight in my eyes, that is life-changing. I am a different human when I am working out every day. It doesn't have to be some crazy intense working. It's just like moving my body. And I think people underestimate the power of just like a walk in either silence or a podcast. I'm a big podcast girl. Listening to a podcast or something, that just like something for yourself in the morning, because you have an influx of notifications, whether that's from your friends or your family or social media. And it's so disturbing if you don't just, like, I try not to look at my phone in the morning and then just do that. So I try to always do that. And have you heard of habit stacking?
Yeah, love habit stacking.
Are you a habit stacker?
Oh, a huge habit stacker.
We're habit stackers over here. So it sounds weird to habit stack with spending time with your friends, but in a weird way, that's kind of what it is. I'm like, okay, I love, my latest thing is ice baths. Oh my God, I wish you were here longer. We could have gone to a new place together.
I was watching your highlight on it the other day too.
My favorite. But that time's like me time, but also I find ways to incorporate my friends into it. So I'm like, okay, me and my friend will go for a walk. So I'm also spending quality time with my friend while I'm moving and doing what's important to me. So I think, I mean, that's just one example, but there's so many different ways to incorporate and habit stack in that way. But yeah, you just have to figure out what's most important to you.
Some of the best advice I got in college was to stop focusing so much on trying to balance everything and understand you just have to have different priorities at different times.
Oh, I love that.
So it's like literally exactly what you just said, but they gave
in much better words. I'm not very well spoken.
They gave copied someone else, so you know. They gave this example of like when you were like weighing something and you're trying to balance it perfectly, it's just something staying stagnant. Nothing's rising to the top. Nothing's really truly growing. So their whole thing was you have to decide what your different priorities are at that time. You even hear moms say this all the time, like you can't have it all at once. You can have it all, but you can't have it all at once. So I love what you said about how you have to just have different like priorities. But now that you're in that phase and it feels like there's just so much going on, like what do you feel like is like the first thing to go?
Oh, I don't know, and that's the hard part. I wish I had an answer for you. I think every single day is different and there's no consistency, which is really hard because I'm someone who likes consistency and routines, but it's what comes up that day. You know, is my social media, do I have something due that day and I need to focus on creating something? Do I have plans with my friends that I really want to prioritize? It's so different. I find myself right now, and it's something I'm struggling with. Like, I've been so straightforward with my friends too. It's like I spread myself very thin, and that sucks because I've always been someone to give everything I have to one thing. Like in school, I focused so hard in school, in high school and college, that it's like spreading yourself so thin and not being able to give a friendship your all or even be present like while you're there is so challenging. So I'm actively working on that and trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Sometimes when I get really overwhelmed, I try to think too, and like I just need to be where my feet are, because
I love that.
What happens with me if I'm really too, like if I'm just overwhelmed and too stressed out, when I'm somewhere, I'll be thinking about the next thing, and then when I'm there, I'm thinking about the next thing, and then when I'm at that thing, I'm thinking about the next thing. So I really try. I'm not naturally good at this, like just being present, period, you know? And so I really try to just like, when I'm actually there, I'm focused fully on that, because it's so easy to just like be waiting for the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I asked what was the first thing to go, because for me in my earlier 20s, ironically, it was my social life was the first thing. I'm like, I have no time for friends. I went to like a really unique college that was also an internship, so it wasn't a traditional school by any means. So if I was in a normal school, obviously that wouldn't have happened, but I was doing that. I was like working. My schedule was crazy. I was gone from like 5 a.m. to, depending on the day, sometimes like 9 or 11, like regularly. Like I was gone, and I never got to go home. Which, like, and I was young. I wasn't like in a normal routine. But anyways, the first thing for me that went was my social life, and I really only saw my friends who were doing exactly what I was doing when we were either at the internship or if they were coming on the podcast, or I mean that was really it.
Yeah.
So, and now I look back, I don't regret it actively, but I've made a shift of like my number one priority in life like is like now are my relationships, because I just think that is what is most important. And at that time, obviously I had to change it. I don't say that in the way of like you need to have 100 friends and give yourself to everyone, but like for me, I wish I would have gone back to like my 22-year-old self almost, and just been like, you still need to focus on like the few friends that do matter to you, because I was so overwhelmed. And now obviously I'm in a place where like I do control my schedule, so it's a lot easier for me. I don't ever want to like put all of that on the back burner, but because I'm so extreme, so like it was really hard for me to find like a middle ground in that way, which I feel like is the answer.
Are you someone who's always had a lot of friends that you weren't as close to, or a small tight-knit group of like, these are my best friends forever?
Like a lot of friends that I am close to, honestly, because I'm really open.
Oh, you just have it all.
No, like but it's like I mean I have a lot of like friends that I'm not tight with as well, for sure, but I just, because I was in a lot of different bubbles in life, like whether it was like my school and then like YouTube people and then my LA friends, and then like it was just a lot of different bubbles, and all of those friends that I truly loved and I was like very invested in. So it's hard because then it's like you feel like you're like failing because you can't show up. But now, as like, I mean, I'm sure you feel like similarly. I just like, as you get older, obviously your social life changes, your friend group changes
so much. You change like as a person,
totally.
So your relationships change.
And so my I would say like my circle's gotten smaller, and I'm only 26, so it makes it easier.
Yeah. I've always been someone who, I've been in so many different groups. Like literally I had a ton of friends, or I think it was maybe 11 of my closest friends that came over to Annapolis. Like we all did like a little girls' weekend. I think it was 2 to 3 people was in a different group, or I knew them from somewhere, and they all came together, and it was the best weekend ever because of that. But I'm the same, like I just had so many different groups though, but that also makes it really tough because if you just have 1 or 2 close groups, I feel like it's way easier to balance, and you're all together all the time. You only have one group to focus on making plans with. But when you have a ton of different groups of friends and bubbles, like you were saying, that's tough because you have to coordinate ways. Okay, how can I give myself to this group and spend time with them? And it's not even that you're giving it to them, but you miss them. You want to spend time with them. That's something that is also really important to me. Also, side note, and not to get into it, but I also think when you're young and you deal with something that you recently went through with
Grief.
loss,
Absolutely.
that totally changes the perspective of everything. I mean, you look at life so differently, and I feel like it just changes everything, and it makes you reprioritize everything in your life and what's really important to you. So relationships are always the first thing not to go. That's like the first thing I'm like, okay, if my relationships aren't doing well right now, like something else needs to give because I'm not giving that one up.
That's actually what happened. So we lost my stepbrother also 5 years ago before losing my brother this year. So like that was when I made this shift of like, I can't keep doing this like friendship wise. Like I need to, like, these are the things that matter to me, but it changes everything about you. So like being in your 20s, and also you have also had loss, like being in your 20s, naturally you change so much, but then to like go through loss and grief when you're in your 20s, especially when it's a death that, not that you didn't see coming, but that like shouldn't have happened in the time that it happened. Like you think you're gonna have people
More
for
time.
Yeah, you just think you're gonna have more time. It's a really simple way of saying it. For some reason, it was really difficult to get there. It does. I mean, it changes everything about you and your perspective and your friendships. Do you feel like it changed your friendships a lot?
It did, and it's so hard because, and I don't know if you felt this, I recently listened to the podcast you did about your brother, and it sounded like your friends were amazing to you, for you, like they were just there for you, and my friends were amazing, they were great, but I think I felt very alone. I was also, I don't blame anyone, but it's like also when you're younger and how old are you when you lost your stepbrother?
I was 21 at that point. 20.
So that was how old I was when I lost my dad, but no one like understands, and you're also so young to even process. Like I didn't expect any of them to understand, but I felt like I was just in my head all the time, and I felt weird being like the downer. And also, what do you say? Like,
I know
you don't want to just go over to their houses and cry because you don't want to be a downer, but then it's also so hard to just fake it and act like everything's fine. So I spent a lot of time alone for that reason. So I feel like I definitely distanced myself from a lot of people during that time just because I didn't know. Like, I hate being a burden to people.
Same.
So I didn't want to. And my friends were so great, but it's so hard to not feel like you're putting something on them, and you want them to have a good life too.
It's so hard for me to even ask for help in any way, shape, or form.
Oh God, I'd rather do anything than ask.
I would literally rather do anything
else.
Anything. So yeah, my friends have been amazing. I've definitely had people who have not been amazing though. Like sometimes you speak a little too soon. I'm kidding. Like not a little too soon, but like I have people, I mean, like Macy literally, and Dom, like for the rest of my, Dom was also there when I got the call by my stepbrother. So Dom's been through this with me twice. This one obviously being like worse, but like Dom and Macy have done everything that they could above and beyond. But also it's interesting with loss and friendships because I do have a lot of grace of understanding that people cannot ever fathom or understand it if they have not gone through it. Like I always try to explain it to people. I'm like, whatever you think it would feel like, multiply that by 1,000,000 and it is that much worse. Like it's not, you can't describe it. So I do try to have a lot of empathy for people who have literally not shown up at all, and like they just don't know what to say, and I think
it's awkward. Like,
it's awkward. People think that they're gonna say the wrong thing.
Yeah,
I think saying the wrong thing and being there is a lot better than not being there at all, though.
I would agree.
So I definitely am going through, I would just say like a shift in my friendships. Like there's certain people that I thought I would like literally be in my wedding that I don't even think I've seen in months.
Wow.
And they live down the street.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Like, but I didn't realize it because it was in such a fog until I was in therapy recently. But it's also just like, look, people just don't know what to do. Like, but it's like yes and, like they don't know what to do, but also you deserve friends that are like showing up for you.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to feel like a burden. I don't even want to sit around and cry to them all the time. Like I want like a distraction.
Exactly.
So it's just one of those things that is interesting.
Yeah. I see, like, if I was a friend to someone who was going through loss, which I haven't actually been able to be someone for that person yet, or had a friend that has lost someone, thank God, but I don't even know how I would just be there for them, but I don't know how I would show up. It's such a difficult and uncomfortable thing to know exactly what to say or what to do, because not everyone needs the same thing. Like, everyone is so different. Like, I might need someone to distract me. You might need someone to just want you to keep talking about it, and like maybe that's how you get through it. So everyone needs different things. So I think just being there for someone is the best thing that you can do. But I definitely think, I don't want to say it's a blessing, but I do think you do find out quicker versus later down in life who is going to be there for you, because there are very few things worse than death to go through, or like losing someone very close to you.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting to me, I say this to Macy all the time, but like no one could have been better than Macy. There's not been a second that she hasn't shown up. And Macy hasn't gone through an extreme, even tragedy. Like she's not gone through loss in that extent. She doesn't have context is basically what I'm getting at. So I'm like, it's actually crazy that like she has been the one, but we talk about it all the time, and Macy is amazing. She's the friend who, she will see another person in my life and a year in advance. I can tell she doesn't like them. I can tell she like that there's an issue there, and that I know what she's thinking about them, but she's so kind and that she doesn't say it to me.
She's so perfect.
And she's not even saying it to other people, which probably is. But like she is letting me figure it out on my own.
Oh my God, that is the best kind of friend you can have.
Truly.
I learned that the hard way. I think I was the one in the wrong, but like telling one of your friends something that they don't know before they realize it doesn't end well. Never ends well.
It's really nice to just kind of like, sometimes I do think that's actually the right thing to do though.
Yeah,
I do think sometimes it's very situational, but she's just been so amazing. Like I don't know how she's just known, but she's like, Kenzie, it truly, like she's so fresh. She's more angry with people than I am. And she's like, it is truly so easy. You literally just show up. It is that simple of a thing. She's like, it's just that simple, you know? So I do think it does obviously change. I mean, on top of like your 20s are changing, you're changing all the time, relationships are changing, grief, everything changes, your whole perspective.
Also, it's just like, that's life, right? It's like there's always going to be, and you can never compare other people's struggles. There's no comparing anything, to each their own, and everyone goes through their own thing, and that's the hardest thing in their life at that time. But I think as you go through life, you grow up, everyone has their shit that's going on, and that's why I think it's so important to be so empathetic in all situations. I mean, even like when you're in the grocery store and you see someone, just always being so kind and just having grace throughout every experience, because you never know what that other person's going through.
And the people who have been like so kind to me the past couple of months, just randomly out and about. I'm at a grocery store and someone's really nice to me, and I'm like, I'm literally gonna cry. You have no idea how much this means to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, that's so nice of you. But to them, I mean, I live in Texas. Everyone's like that. But I'm like, oh my God, thank you. It's like, it makes me want to be that way 24/7. I do think I'm like naturally a pretty nice person.
You're so nice.
But like above and beyond.
100%.
You know?
And I told this story, I think it was, I guess it was a year or 2 years ago now, but I did tell the story on my TikTok, but I don't know if you had seen it, but because I think Macy saw it, because she had said something to me about it. But the day that my dad died, I was in a Trader Joe's. Long story short, I was in a Trader Joe's. I had flown home from college, and I was so broke. I had like $15-20 to my name in my bank account. It was so hectic. My mom hadn't been home in days. We had no food at the house, so I ran to Trader Joe's. I'm a mess. Like, I'm so foggy. And I got a couple things for lunch, go up to the cash register, and he rung it up. I think it was like $75, and I did not have enough money. I think I only had like $20 or $25. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, like, let me call my mom. There was no service in the Trader Joe's. I couldn't get a hold of her because there was also no service in the hospital. Like, it was a whole thing. So I was like, I'm so sorry, just forget everything. Like, and I was about to walk out. He stops me, the cashier, and he was like, don't worry about it. Like, I got it. He pays for the whole thing, and I just like looked at him. I was like,
wow.
I started crying, sob. And I was like, you don't know how much this means to me. Like, this, my dad's in the hospital. He's dying right now. And he just like hugged me, and I left. He ended up dying that night. And then 2 weeks later, I think I came back for the funeral, and it was also like Christmas break or something, or fall break. and I ended up repaying him. And I saw him over and over again. And it's so funny now, and I haven't told this part of the story yet, but he's friends with my mom now because he does pickleball. He's like a part of our Annapolis, it's the city I grew up in. He's part of the Annapolis pickleball community, and so is my mom. So they met, and I was like, Mom, that's David. Like, that's the guy. And she like started sobbing. So now David's been to our house, and he's just like, aww. So stories, again, long story short, but stories like that, I'm like, I will remember that for the rest of my life. And every time I'm in every time I'm in public, but like I always think about that, and you never know what the other person's going through that you're having an interaction with. So even if someone's rude, I'm like, they're probably having a really shitty day right now.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely having the worst day of their life, and
I'm just gonna assume that. So it makes me feel like whatever.
It's a better way to live, honestly.
I agree.
It's more freeing. That story is so beautiful.
Yeah, I probably told it in a not good way, but
no, it was perfect.
But yeah, we love David.
Yeah, no, this podcast is actually a David fan page now.
David and Macy.
Yeah, literally.
We should set David and Macy up.
Oh my gosh, he's nice, right?
He
loves pickleball. Macy loves pickleball.
Wait.
She loves pickleball.
This is a match made in heaven.
Does he wear a uniform, a Trader Joe's uniform? She loves like man in a uniform. It doesn't matter what kind.
I think he might have gone to Whole Foods.
Okay, well,
she's a Whole Foods
uniform. One thing about Macy is that she just loves a man in a uniform. Could be a baseball uniform, could be like a plumbing uniform, could be maybe Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know. She doesn't care. Like literally, she just loves a man in a uniform. So if we just find him a uniform and we get them on the pickleball courts, they're gonna fall in love.
This is a stupid question. In London, are they called police?
Probably.
Wait. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should find our policeman.
Well, that is her type, actually.
Is it really?
Just like anyone in a uniform.
Okay, we can make this work.
That's like one of the go-tos. Like a firefighter. I want her to have a firefighter face because like I just feel like that's like.
See that for her.
I know, and that's her living out like a smut novel fantasy.
Oh, she needs to practice manifestation if she's not already. She's dating a firefighter. We'll do it on her behalf.
I don't know how much Macy manifests.
Really? You should ask her.
I know, which is weird because we spend every second together. We talk about literally everything, but she's not really. Yeah, I'll tell her.
How often do you journal?
I journal every single day.
What's your do you have a system, or do you just write what comes to your mind?
So I like morning pages. So I will wake up.
Well,
okay, it comes from this book called The Artist's Way, but basically morning pages, what it is, it's from Julia Cameron. You wake up and you just write 3 pages straight every single morning. It's really good for like grief, but it's good for anything. I was doing it way before that. What about you? Are you a journaler?
I go through phases. I'm not in that phase right now, but I feel like I talk to myself, or I'll turn on the camera and I'll just like keep it for myself, kind of talk things. I don't go to therapy, and that's something You've
never gone? Wow. I can't believe that you went through loss without therapy.
It's scary up there. Yeah. I didn't go about it in the right way. There are better ways, and I wish I did it. And so
everyone has their own journey. Like maybe you also sometimes you're just not ready.
Yeah. Does your family
I was in diapers when I was in therapy, basically.
That's my mom's not.
My family is so mental health therapy. I mean, my actual first time I went to therapy was in the 5th grade. My parents got divorced. It was like court mandated, which like is kind of crazy.
Like what would they say to you?
Just like going through. I don't really remember anything that that therapist said to me. I actually hated her name. Her name was Sandra. Or no, Susan. I don't know. She sucked. But I don't remember exactly what they were saying. But it was helpful. Like I did need to go, and then I've gone on and off my whole life. But I've been back in therapy like forever.
Yeah.
The past, I would say like 4 or 5 years.
Here's my thing with therapy. I feel like I am so like it all just. I already know what the right answer is most of the time. So I feel like I don't need someone to just sit there and like validate my feelings. And I know that's not the experience that everyone has. And I'm scared to continue to relive trauma until I find the right therapist. Like that's my issue. And I've been putting it off. And I've tried looking. I feel like I need a recommendation or something. You know what I mean?
I feel so similarly because I'm a big processor. Like I process things by reading a book about it and like journaling typically. And because I've gone to therapy for so long in my life, like I have a lot of like tools. So I can figure out I know the answer, but there is something about talking to someone that really helps. And sometimes they'll point things out that you would have not thought. And there's also different kinds of therapy. So like maybe you would do better with like DBT, which are like 30-minute sessions. I would not be able to describe it well right now, but we can Google it after because CBT is just like typical. It's just like typical 50-minute talk therapy. DBT is quicker and I feel like a little bit more direct from what I've gotten. There's also EMDR, which I'm doing, which is like a tapping thing, and it's like trauma therapy.
I've listened to podcasts on that. I've learned about that. Okay.
And that is, I've done it before, and I'm going back. I was actually supposed to do a 3-hour session last week, and thank God it got canceled, because if I would have done that and gone through all these trips, I would not have survived. But so I'm gonna like start doing that. So you don't have to do just like a talking therapy. There's other ways.
But I feel like it's good to be able to articulate how you're feeling, because I think that's my issue, is sometimes I can't articulate it, and then it shows up later when it's too late almost, when I could have addressed it prior. They
can connect the dots for you a lot of the time. Another thing too that is just like a free thing to do if you can't figure out where your emotions go, this is just works for me. Morning pages helps me so much because it makes me realize why I feel some type of way. It'll bring up things that have been that happened to me 5 years ago that I haven't even like consciously thought about, and I have no idea there's any connection there, but because I'm writing and I'm just like streamlining through, these things that I've not thought about in the longest time will come up. Really? And then I'm like, that's why I reacted that way. Wow. But I would have never thought about it.
Is it like does it have guided prompts? Like,
no, it's literally just like pen to paper. Sometimes I will literally write like I have nothing to write about. Like, you don't stop writing. Like, you can't take your hand off the paper for 15 minutes or for 3 pages.
Okay, so that's like the practice. It's just lines paper and you just have to keep it. I have never heard of this. I need to go order it.
It's really amazing. I mean, you can just do it in like a normal journal. It's not anything guided. It's actually like, it's like really incredible.
I love that. Is there one thing you feel like that has helped you, like one tool or thing that's really helped you get through your 20s?
Okay, yes. And it's my least favorite thing because like I hate uncertainty. I like, one thing about me I want to know. So for me, it's just been to like give up control and uncertainty. Be like, I've been like when you were saying, I feel very lonely, and like that's how like this. I've never felt lonelier in my life, and I'm not someone who feels lonely ever. I've always had amazing friends. I have a huge family. I like being alone, so even when I'm by myself, like it doesn't bother me. But like this week specifically, I have been just like so down and like feeling like so isolated and whatever. But it's making me think back to like when I was having a harder time in my earlier 20s, where I'm like, okay, you have to just lean into the uncertainty. Everything's gonna end up working out. You're gonna find someone. You're gonna find the right people to be around you. It's gonna be fine. So like, ironically, I'm telling you, I bring that up to say like I'm telling you, leaning into uncertainty has helped me. Yeah. But it's something that I'm struggling with now. What's helped you the most?
Honestly, that like knowing, sometimes I don't journal as much as I used to, but I'll talk to myself and I'll be like, you know what, this sucks right now, but just saying it out loud sometimes, or knowing and processing the fact that there's always going to be like this is so stupid, life's a roller coaster, but like there's always going to be ups and downs, and knowing that you're either in your uncertainty era, or that things will have to get better. Like, they have to get better. They will eventually. Like, tomorrow's going to be so much better. And even if you think it's not going to get better, it always, always does.
Something that I have to remind myself of all the time is like thinking back to when I've been in other bad parts of my life, and then it all ended up working out. It's like I almost need those like stones that I can look back and be like, well, it'll happen again. But it is just so hard when you're at the lowest point of that uncertainty, and I'm like, I literally like can't picture it, but it just has to. I keep saying, like, I want to fast forward like 5 years of my life. That's what I want to do.
I know, I say that, but then I'm like, but I also don't want to lose that time.
I know. Same, but honestly, right now I could lose it.
I don't need it. Get rid of it.
No, I could lose it. Yeah, I could lose it. But normally I would be like, no, I need the whole thing, you know?
Do you see, this is random, but do you see yourself staying in Texas?
Yeah. Or I would move to Tennessee for love. Like, if I were to fall in love, I would move to Tennessee. But I want to keep my house in Texas. Like, my entire family's there. I want to at least be part-time in Texas.
Okay. You're from Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, I would move to like Nashville for love easily. I've been trying.
You wouldn't move to Nashville for love.
I would, in 2 seconds, I would be there.
Would a year ago you be like throwing up at the fact that you're like, oh, I want love?
Yes.
Really?
Like, no, by the way, 4 months ago, I would be throwing up.
Actually, yesterday, me.
And maybe not throwing up, but
like, really?
Yeah, because I, for so long, was like, why does everyone need to be with someone? Relax. Like, it's going to happen. Like, I was just never the girl. It felt like desperate almost. Like, I was never the girl that wanted it. And that's what I keep saying to Dom, and Dom's like, it is totally fine to like want love. Like you're allowed to, you know?
Yeah. Are you nervous to get into a relationship?
Yes, just because yes. Yeah. What about you? Like
nervous.
if you were to start dating someone right now, would you just feel
scared? Yes, I'd be scared. Also, I love my routine. I love my life.
That's like, my issue.
Yeah, that's like, I need someone. I wish you could just skip. Here's what I hate about dating. I hate the whole sitting at a table. Even if like activities are fun, but I feel like it's hard to get to know someone through an activity. But sitting down one-on-one through a dinner table, that's why like lately I've taken a break from dating, because it's exhausting. Just doing the same thing over and over. And then it's like you take time out of your precious afternoons or whenever you go that it's like, I could have been with my friends, or I could have. So it's like I wish someone could just seamlessly integrate, even though I feel like the right person will, and it's always right place, right time, and like hopefully a mutual friend. When they come into the picture, it's like it'll be easy. But it also, I don't know about you, I feel like you're not like this. It takes me a while to be myself around someone. Like I'm fine at small talk, I'm outgoing, I'll talk to anyone about anything, but I also think it takes me a while to fully feel comfortable and like be able to fully be myself. So it's hard to do that when you're dating, you know?
I also don't like that they don't get the full picture. Like,
No.
you know, because it's like, I feel like I can't get to know you in just like a 2-hour dinner, but I also feel like you don't know me at all. And like, I feel like they need to see you in like a different setting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you the question asker? Like, do you ask?
Yeah.
Did you see Tinks's last? I don't know if you follow her. Did you see her last? She posted a TikTok about how she was on the date the entire time, the dinner date, asking questions, and people were like, just stop asking the questions. She's like, well, I don't want to just sit in silence because this guy just wasn't saying anything. I'm like, I'm a question asker. I don't want to sit in silence, but also you have to ask questions about me, you know?
You're a great question asker because you're actually asking me questions on the spot. Like, I can tell you're good at it.
Do people not ask you?
No,
I
this
also
is
want
good.
to get to know you.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
well, by the way, it's been amazing. Like, This has been such a good episode. It's great because it's a conversation. This is less interview. It's more conversation. Yeah. It's amazing. But I'm the same way. Like, I'm not going to sit. I also like to ask them questions because I don't like talking about myself at all, especially when you're like a content creator. Like, I hate the questions about that. Yeah. So I will avoid anything about myself at all times. Also now, like in dating, my like biggest thing that I dread is like so how many siblings do you have, or like your family or whatever. It's like, how do you avoid you can't avoid the questions, but like
also that's like a huge milestone. It's a huge part of your life. So it's like, there are so many questions that I'll get asked, and it's like, okay, how do I answer this without like explaining?
Yes.
You know? So what, have you been on a date where you had to?
I haven't, and the people that I've like been around know and haven't like. I haven't been in that position yet, but I've luckily avoided it. But it wasn't necessarily a full like avoiding thing. Now I'm just like, I'm dreading that part of it. Yeah. But also I hope that I'm with like a mutual friend, so then it would have already been a thing, know about it. Know?
See, that's the hard part about like meeting someone random, if they follow you or they know you have a platform too, because it's like, that's not fair that you get to see so much of my life that's not even the full picture, and I know nothing about you. That's so hard. And the last guy that I went out with, that was the situation. I'm like, you have this view or picture of me. It makes me nervous of like getting to know the full view of me. And I don't know as much about you. It's not fair.
I also feel like I am the exact same as I am online, but there's also a lot more to me. Of course. So it's like, there's sides of me that like the internet wouldn't see, just because it wouldn't like make sense for me to share those on the internet. Like I think about certain friends that I have and like the conversation, I just wouldn't have those, like that dynamic wouldn't be shown online because it's not online. So while I'm like quite literally the exact same in person, I feel like it's not a full picture. So I also don't like that, because it feels like they can write you off as something that you're not, you know what I mean? And I'm sure everyone feels that way, like when all of Gen Z is talking about like being perceived online, you know? Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, they're like, they were like, I'm not posting on it. I feel like by the way, I am Gen Z.
We're Gen Z.
But I feel like I'm a grandma as I'm saying this, but they're just talking about how basically just the concept of being perceived, like they don't like it, and like posting on Instagram has become like such a cringe thing, and like,
wait, what?
Yes,
this is news to me.
Oh my god, it's a whole movement. They're like, I can't post on Instagram. There's TikToks where they're like shaking when they're posting.
I thought Gen Zers were like, we're Gen Z.
Yeah, they'll post like a random photo that's blurry, and you would think there's two sides of it.
Wait,
but still they're like the thought of being perceived makes you want to throw up.
Oh, I don't like people not getting the full view. I think that's what it comes down to, is like social media is also, while you're yourself, and I try to be my full self too, there's always another side of the picture, and there's so much that isn't said on a video camera. I mean, you also do, you have your podcast, you do, and I'm sure, I don't know if you put these on YouTube, and then you have your TikTok, like you have so many different platforms, and your YouTube is huge. And when did you start?
Like when I was like 16.
Yeah, like that's you, fully you.
And they can just see it all.
They just see it all. But like, I only recently started, so and I'm very selective about what goes out, so I feel like there's so much more of my life that's not captured, so it always feels weird. Even though, again, what I post is me. But
yeah, but they're not going to, like, see the full thing.
Yeah.
Do people bring it up when you go on dates?
Yes. It's so...
What do you say?
I don't... Like, oh my gosh. This one restaurant we went to, and I think the girl next to me, she kept looking at me. I think Hoboken's very small, so I think she had recognized me from, like, socials. Just by the way she was like looking at me and then kind of like texting her friends, you could just tell. And he was asking questions about it, and I was just like, oh god, stop. So I just try to keep it very brief, and it's also a very small part of my life, you know, so I just try to redirect. I ask questions about them and just like later topic, you know what I mean?
I think also, like, when it comes to asking questions on dates, like, one, I just feel like girls ask more questions, period.
Always. I don't think and this is what Tinks was saying, I think some guys just don't care.
Yeah.
They don't want to know, they don't care. So they don't go into it, they don't ask follow-up questions. It's like they're fine talking about themselves. How nice would it just be to sit there and to not have to think and just to let someone ask all the questions about you? I mean, that would be nice. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I don't like silence, but
I feel like it's also a fear of being seen when you don't want like to get asked a bunch of questions. Like when I was saying earlier, how I don't like when it's like I'm always asking questions because I don't want to have to answer all these. Maybe I just like,
that's fair.
Maybe that's what it is, you know?
But like, yeah, I also think boys don't talk about stuff too. So maybe you're right. It's like they don't want to have to go into it. But I also think we're at the age 25, 26 where most guys have been in a serious relationship before, so I feel like they have to be used to it. Like they've already gone through dating someone and having that experience and talking about their feelings, hopefully, you know.
Do you like nice guys?
I love nice guys.
Me too.
I'm a nice guy girl.
I am a nice guy girl.
I don't play games. I don't want any games. It's not attractive to me. I've never, and the thing you said at the very beginning about not texting an ex, I'm the exact same way. It's like I won't reach out. If we're done, we're done. I know that was a different chapter. That chapter's closed, and it's like moving forward because I don't need to revisit it if it wasn't meant for me.
And I love nice boys. I'm the exact same way, and they're always asking questions. Like I'm just thinking about even like my nice, yeah, they care. Like even like my nice like friends that are guys are like but people that I've been with this week. It's like they ask so many questions because they genuinely care and they're good people. So I feel like it's such a. I mean, obviously, if someone doesn't ask you a single question on a date, like it's over. Like that's it.
Of course.
But when you're trying to make something happen, it's really easy to let your standards go out the window.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a reminder.
I know.
It's a really easy barometer on a date.
Do you feel like if you're on a date and a guy is asking like very surface level questions, do you want them to go deeper and ask like, okay, get to know me, or would you rather it be light banter for a first date?
So I really do only date friends for the most part. Like now that I'm thinking about it, or like the guys that I've actually liked. Like I'm thinking about, so many of them have been. I just prefer a deep conversation at all times. Like that is one thing about me. I don't like
the surface level.
I don't like the surface level. But if I don't like them, I want surface level because I don't want to have those conversations.
Yeah,
you know?
That makes sense.
What about you?
I'm the same. I want to be able to on a first date to have banter and like click with someone, but then be able to get deep really quickly right after that, you know?
Totally. I feel like that's like so ideal. And this is what's going to happen with our London men. Well, and your New York man.
Right. I'm going to have a New York man. I have a New York man.
Oh, and perfect. Oh, wait, yes.
Yeah. And it's going to be great. And everything's going to be fine.
It's amazing.
Oh, it'll be good.
See, that's this entire episode. We're finding love. Everything's going to be okay. You can't do it all. You don't need to do it all. friendships change, 20s change, we're changing.
It's great. We're growing up.
Yeah.
This is life.
I'm ready to be in my 30s.
Really?
I'm so ready for my 30s.
You're not nervous?
No, and my 20s have just been rough. So I'm ready for my 30s, but I just think I'm going to love being in my 30s. I think that is the decade for me. 20s, lots of uncertainties. Hopefully in my 30s I'll be like married and having kids and have a lot more figured out.
How many do you want?
Like 3 to 4.
Okay. How many siblings did you have?
So I grew up with 8, but I have like my sister and then my brother.
Okay.
And then I had 3 step siblings on each side. So I had 6 step siblings total.
Big family.
Yeah. So now 6.
Okay.
But like 8.
I think it has to do with how many you grew up with. Or like if you had a lot of siblings, then you will want a lot of siblings or like you have reasons for wanting that or not wanting that. I have my brother and I feel like I want to have 3, I think, because I feel like one's not enough. Like, I want to be able to, I love a big family.
And now with losing a sibling, I can never do 2 because I just think about if like one and you'd be by yourself. Like, I have a friend that I've gotten really close to and she lost her only brother. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Like, I literally can't imagine. So now, but I've always wanted, I think it's exactly that. I think it's like what you grew up with is what you want.
Yeah.
But my cousins had 4 and so I always wanted 4 because I love their family. I don't think realistically I'm going to be able to pull 4 off. So I think it's going to be 3.
That's my issue. It's like, how do you go through 4 pregnancies?
I want twins at some point.
Oh, that would be so, I mean, it wouldn't be easy to carry, but that would be a dream. I wonder, do you know any twins?
Yes.
Do you think they like, or I guess
they love being twins.
They love being twins.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a built-in best friend.
Yeah, it's like beautiful.
Yeah. Do you think most twins have another sibling? I only know, I'm trying to think of.
Every set of twins that I know have another sibling.
My cousins are boy-girl twins, but they don't have any other siblings. So I guess I don't know any.
I just think twins would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, also, though, think about going from 0 to 2 kids. I mean, you wouldn't know any different. That's the pro. But also, like, breastfeeding 2, taking care of 2. I mean, that's a lot.
Oh, my gosh. I wouldn't be able to.
No.
I wouldn't be able to. I definitely would want to. Do you think you'll want to hire help?
1,000%. My help is already hired at this point. I mean, like, look at it that way. Like, I mean, absolutely. There's no way. Some people I feel like are against it, or it's like, well, you're not doing it yourself. Everyone's going to need the help. Also, that's like, I can't imagine when I think about, oh, my life is so crazy. I do so much. Imagine doing all of that and then having kids. Yeah. Imagine doing all that and then also being married. That's another responsibility. And then having kids. But, like, my grandparents were really involved in our upbringing. Like, my grandpa still lives with my dad. Like, they're very involved. I see my grandma every single week. My grandma took me to school every single day. Like, so my parents will be very involved in my dad, especially. Like, my dad's dream is to be a grandpa. Like, that's what he wants. So maybe I won't have hired help, but like that's the same thing, just free.
Yeah.
You know,
how close are you to your parents?
We're like so close. My dad lives like 10 minutes down the street. I was trying so bad for him to buy the house next door to me, and he wouldn't, but you know, whatever.
Are you close with your mom or your dad?
I'm close with each of them in like different ways. I'm just like my dad. My dad is like very Ed Milet, like businessy, whatever, but like emotional.
Yeah.
And then my mom is really creative.
Okay.
My mom owned businesses growing up and stuff, so like we're similar in that way, but my mom's way more laid back than I am.
Really? Yeah. Were you a daddy's girl? Or?
Oh my God. Yes. Like, unbelievable. I used to go as a kid. Growing up, I would go and I would make my dad and I like a bowl of Cheerios and I'd bring it up to their bedroom and I would go up and then I would tell my mom to get her own. Isn't that heartbreaking?
Oh my God. That's precious.
It's really sad, but
really
it's cute.
Sweet. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was definitely I was a daddy's girl. Like, I would go to my dad for, like, when I wanted something, I knew my mom wouldn't give it to me because my mom was really strict. She, like, grew up in a very strict household. She was one of 6. And so she always was the hardo. But when my dad was mad, it was scary. So I would go to him if, like, it was something stupid that my mom would let me have, and I know he would say yes. But then if he was mad, it was like I had to go to my room, and I was afraid to come out.
You were strategic.
I was very strategic. Well, my mom would also, like, pull my hair. She was scary, too.
Yeah. She put the fear of God in you.
Oh, my gosh. Did your parents ever, like, if you said a bad word, did put soap in your mouth?
Like, I grew up with my parents watching Sex and the City. Like, my parents were so chill. I mean, they weren't, like, mean girls cool by any means, but my parents were really chill. They also had a brutal divorce growing up. So, like, a lot of it, like, I feel like some of that stuff would have happened, but because there was so much chaos, it just, they kind of had to, like, we kind of got away with some stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I didn't really, like, we're very similar people. Like, if I'm in something, I'm all in. I was, like, very into school. I wasn't, like, a troublemaker.
Yeah.
My sister, very much so. Me,
In what
no.
way?
She's just wild.
Yeah.
She's fine, but, like, she's the middle child vibe, you know?
Did you drink young?
I did, but I was also, like, mainly DD.
Oh.
But I drank. Like, I would go, I mean, I wouldn't drink and drive, to be clear. I wasn't
yeah,
DDing when I was
of
drinking,
course.
but, not young. I mean, in high school, I mean, yeah, that is young. But, like, my friends started drinking before I did, but I was just there.
Okay.
What about you?
I was definitely drinking, but I was scared. I was a scared young because I was so nervous to get in trouble. Like, I was also never allowed to have alcohol in the house. Like, my parents were strict, and I was never allowed to have parties. I think I successfully snuck out once, and I was so scared that it wasn't even worth it. I was, like, so nervous the whole time.
Did you ever have a fake ID?
Yeah.
Did that
I
give
did.
you, like, a heart attack using it?
Weirdly, no. But I was very careful where I used it. Like, I only used it at specific places, and I think I was 20 when it ended up getting bent, or, like, some bouncer went like this. And it was in a hometown bar that everyone knew it was strict, so it was hard anyway. But I was smart because I was really scared about getting in trouble.
I was so terrified to use my fake ID. I mean, I did, but I would only use it when I knew that it was going to be okay. I finally got mine snapped like a couple months before my 21st at this bar in LA that I knew I wasn't going to get into, but I was kind of just trying to get people off my back to, like, let me go home. So I was like, honestly, if it goes, it's fine. It's a couple months away.
I was so mad. I remember the first time I turned 21, I was so excited to go to the liquor store that had carded me so many times. I go in. Of course, they don't card me. I was like, of all times, I'm actually prepared right now, and you're not going to card me.
Like, that was the whole point.
Right. That's why I came here.
Yeah. My gosh.
So
okay, well, I could talk to you for like 17 more hours, but thankfully, we're going to London.
Oh, we're going to London.
I'm actually booking my flight tonight, by the way, after, because Macy sent me some flights.
I'll probably book tonight also.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
This was so amazing. This was like one of my favorite. It was just so good. So
You're
conversational.
so sweet. I like want to get to know you outside of this too.
No, I mean, well, don't worry.
We've
We've got quite some time. Okay, so where can everyone find you?
My Instagram is at meemi.billings, and my TikTok is, I don't know if you know this, it's at I said well with 5 H's.
I noticed that today, actually.
It's because when TikTok changed the usernames, so now you see my name, so most people are shocked when they see it. But
I've never noticed it before, and I've like followed you forever.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's do you know Kat Wellington, Wash Your Pillowcases?
Oh,
that's her username. Do you know?
No,
her?
I didn't know that. No, I don't, but I never knew that.
Oh, I'll show you after.
Interesting.
But yeah, Wash Your Pillowcases is her username.
That's a good one.
So funny.
Okay, amazing.
Love you, girl.
Love you.